Hey everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we have the RockyMounts AfterParty Swing Away Bike Rack. We'll take a look at how it fits our 2023 Honda CR-V. So the RockyMounts AfterParty is very similar to the RockyMounts GuideRail, where you have a dual wheel mount bike rack. The thing that's special though with the AfterParty is it swings away, and that gives you full access to the back of your vehicle if you want to set up a campsite, open up the hatch, things like that. Now, with the CR-V, I personally would actually recommend just sticking with the RockyMounts GuideRail, and that's just because you can still tilt away both bike racks. So if you don't need that full hatch clearance, you'll still be able to open up your hatch with the bikes on without having to swing the entire bike rack away. But for certain situations, maybe you want to set up a campsite or you're overlanding and you need that extra space, then in order to swing away, there is a lever down here. You need to turn that lever. You have it on pretty tight right now. Let's go. Alright, attempting to turn the lever. There we go. Once this is loose, you're then able to swing the entire rack away. There is a long thread here though, and that's there so that it's a strong and sturdy fit on the rack. Alright, right there. Once that's disengaged, you then pull on the knob at the end and swing this out. Notice how many pivot points we have on this rack. We could go out a full 180, we can go 90. It really is up to how much space you personally need beside your car. But look, you have full access back here, all the space, all the clearance. Bringing this back down, this is just a quick little show of how to use this. You do have to pull some knobs here in order to swing things back and get clearance. Let's see. And if you do have a vehicle behind you, you do have to be conscious of that and make sure you're not swinging it into a car beside you or other people. But once you get into place, that first knob catches, and then you tighten it down with the lever you loosened earlier. So while I tighten this down, let's talk about what types of bikes you can carry with this rack. Notice the mountain bike I currently have on the rack. This has zero frame contact, so the bike rack is holding onto it by the front and the rear wheels. If you have a carbon fiber bike, a step-through bike, you don't have to worry about getting separate frame adapters because, again, zero frame contact. When taking the bike off, though, it's a very fast process. So we'll just watch from afar. I press the lever the first time to get myself a little clearance on those dual wheel mounts. Then I flip the lever out, push one out, push the other mount out. There we go. And now we can grab our bike and go. So with the bike off, you can take a closer look at the trays. Notice those little grooves in the trays. That's because this rack can accommodate for different tire widths, and you can actually slide your bike back and forth to get the best fit on the rack. And when you have your bike on the rack, this has a maximum wheelbase of 55 inches, which is really impressive. Listen to when it starts clicking, right there. So even if you need to move your bike further out to get clearance with the other bike, you can do so. And that's just going to be the perks of the dual wheel mount design. Check out our full review here on eTrailer if you want to learn more about those bike racks. Let's talk about this bike rack with the CR-V, especially how much length does the AfterParty add to the back of this car. So from the bumper to the end of the rack, that sits at 32 inches. And that's going to be a measurement to remember if you're, let's say, parking in a small garage or into a small spot. Another measurement is going to be ground clearance. So here from the ground to the tray, this sits at 26.5 inches. That's how much height you're going to have to lift your bikes up to get onto that tray. Compare that measurement to the shank here, which only sits about 10.5 inches up off the ground. If you want to make this rack more compact, you can pull this lever, pull up, take in some measurements again. The difference is going to be this sits 16 inches away from your vehicle, so definitely a lot more portable. This is also how you'll store it in your garage. But what else do you have to think about when you carry around the bike rack all the time? Well, with this folded up, notice how everything's visible. License plate, backup camera right here, tail lights, and rear window. With all that visible, it's nice to know that you still have most of the features of your vehicle, even with the rack on. One downside is you will not be able to open up the hatch. Fortunately, it's very easy to lift that lever and tilt the whole rack away. If I wanted to compare this with some other racks, I did mention the RockyMounts GuideRail as an alternative, mainly because the CRV doesn't necessarily need that entire swing away function. If you like how this rack looks, don't need the swing away, that's something worth considering. Also, you can get swing away add-ons for other racks if needed. I know Kuat as well as Yakima has those swing away add-ons, but then those are add-ons. This has everything included. It's an all-in-one package. So this was a look at the RockyMounts GuideRail swing away bike rack, and we saw it on the 2023 Honda CRV.